Welcome to the first annual Lux and Tux Live Game Awards in our brand new studio. We have endured some really silly, goofy times in the games that we've played so far. You have seen my soul leave my body due to some unfortunate circumstances. This year really got me to open up to gaming again. Just give me 1 minute to explain my journey over the past year. I do have to give a huge shout out to Juice, my boy. You've seen him in some of the videos, and I can tell you for certain this channel would not exist without him. He's given me a lot of support, and I was pushed to give YouTube another shot after giving up completely. To be honest, I couldn't be more grateful. Live streaming has really connected me with a lot of awesome people. Every time I hop on, I feel like I'm talking to buddies. So far in the last year, I've played 10 full games and 3 DLCs. Enough of my sob story. Thank you for being here. Let's get right into the Game Awards of 2023. We are going to be going in order from first to last. The first ever stream was Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade. Currently, we are playing Final Fantasy VII Original, and I cannot wait for the next game. Final Fantasy VII Remake, we're going to go through the whole game right before we get the second one. It's so exciting. We are in an awesome time. Basically like 1 month ago, I believe. This is quite a short DLC. You are going around with Yuffie. It does hold a special place in my heart, mainly because it's the first thing I ever streamed. So I feel like obviously this list is very skewed. It is S+, S, and S-. I don't think I played any games that were like that bad. Some of them were just not great, but a lot of that has to do with my skill issue. I don't feel like I gave certain games on this list a fair shake. I don't think I could put Final Fantasy VII Intergrade anything below S. It wasn't a full game, it was a DLC. It felt too much like a teaser and a money grab, a bit for me. I think I'm gonna put it in S solidly. Breath of the Wild, the first ever full game I played on the channel. This does hold a very special place in my heart, along with a lot of these Zelda games. It is not Zelda's first foray into open world, but it is their first 3D open world. It is fully immersive. I was extremely nervous to play this game. At this point, I wasn't sure how vulnerable I wanted to get on camera, and when I got upset at the game, I felt extremely embarrassed. I thought a lot about the game was fantastic. I liked eventually fighting the Lionels, even though they were very scary at first. The Guardians were a really cool mechanic that I wish they brought back in Tears of the Kingdom, but they did not. Sadly, the Divine Beasts were a massive letdown for temples. I thought they were quite easy, and the bosses were very repetitive. Like, I know on camera it seemed like a challenge. I always try to play it up as much as I can. I feel like I was expecting more in terms of dungeon quality. The traversal of the terrain was really fun. Besides, obviously, the rain mechanics were terrible. A lot about it I thought was really good. I feel like it would be weird if I ranked it any lower than like S+. It just wouldn't feel right because it was the first game I ever played. It introduced me to, you know, a lot of my viewers at the time. This game was very beloved, and the support was really good on this game. I'm gonna put it in S+. Tears of the Kingdom was fantastic. I liked it in a lot of ways. I actually think that the temple designs were a lot better in this game. It did actually feel even easier than the first one, but that could just be because I had just finished Breath of the Wild. I was actually pretty good at the mechanics at that point. Even like getting Majora's Mask wasn't even that crazy. I really liked the Rudo section. I thought that was really solid. That was probably one of my favorite dungeon designs. The ship in the sky was really nice. My least favorite was the water temple. It was really bad because of the Switch's design. Not having the frame rate locked in that section made it unplayable for me. When I was playing against the boss with all the mechanics on screen, it was just so stuttery. I could hardly tell what was going on in the moment, and that felt really unfortunate. I feel like the Switch let that game down so much. I feel like if they release a Switch 2 and it has backwards compatibility, that will give me enough reason to replay the game. But otherwise, the experience was good enough for me to really delve, 180 hours deep into the game. But in its current form, I don't feel the urge urges to replay the game a ton. Even Breath of the Wild, I feel like I would give another shot if it was just more fluid. I think the Switch 2 could do that. I hope the redesign is going to be something really powerful and up to snuff with modern technology. They could definitely do it, and they've done a lot with a little. I'm procrastinating giving this one a score because it's just so hard.
That's what she said.
I feel like after fully playing through it, I don't know if I will put it above Breath of the Wild, but I will still put it in S+, because it was a great game. I can't deny that it was a great game. Ocarina of Time. This one needs no introduction. This one, all of you know. It is a modern marvel of a game. Still holds up today. It is a serious blast from the past. I'm tearing up just thinking about it. Thinking of the brilliant music that it had, the atmosphere it created. It doesn't matter that the graphics aren't, you know, today's standard. They were yesterday's standard. There's so much beauty in the storytelling, and I really feel like the linear nature of it does not take away from anything. I feel like it does even add something. This is up there seriously with the all-time greats. I do think this is an S+. This would go at the extreme top end of this list. Thinking in relativity of this list, I may actually adjust these further on depending on my feelings towards other games. I don't want S+ to be totally rammed full of games. It should be for my actual favorite games. I may move this down and I may move these down. I think that's the move, because some of these games coming up are way up there. Zelda Majora's Mask was fantastic. One of the side quests that stood out to me as extremely significant and like taught me a lesson in my life was the Anju Cafe side story. It's tearjerker. The lengths that they went to for love was very heartwarming. The fact that this game was made in a year with some assets from Ocarina of Time, of course, but the fact that this game was produced in a year with such a deep story was beautiful. I never experienced this game as a kid because it scared me. It has a darker tone than the rest of the series. I saw that clock and I just couldn't bear to play the game. Even into my teenage years, I bought the 3DS remake. The clock just gave me too much stress. I never gave it a fair chance. I needed for myself to finish all the Zelda games. I'm glad that I chose to play this game. They truly nailed this one on the head. It has to go in S+. It is right there with me. Zelda Wind Waker. I loved how clicky this game was. The combat felt insane. I loved this game a lot. I thought they gave Link a lot of dynamics, especially with the expression. In my heart, this was the most expressive Link has ever been. The design of the game, the levels of the game, the bosses in this game, they all just had this certain level of, I don't know another word to give it than clicky. It just felt snappy. It felt like you were there in the moment and there was nothing stopping you from just absolutely plowing through this game. It was one game that I really just wanted to keep playing. The only part of this game that truly let me down was the Triforce shards. I thought those quests really put a nail in the tire of this game. It brought it to an absolute halt. I know they fixed a lot of those issues in the HD remake, but I did not play the HD remake. On stream, I played the regular version, and that's how I have to grade it. If I had played the HD remake, it may have been my favorite game. Just for that fact, I have to put it in S, not S+. I want to put it in S+. I just think that hindered the game too much. Doki Doki Literature Club. Talk about a game that pulls at your heart. I don't think I was mentally prepared for this game. After what happened to Sayori after my first stream, I actually went to my fiance and said, I don't know if I can continue with this. It was very emotional and I'm glad that I got through it. Being dyslexic, a reading game is extremely hard. It's very surprising that I pushed myself through it because back in grade school, I was somebody that did everything I could to get out of, you know, talking in front of a class. And essentially, I'm talking in front of a class. There are people that can see what I'm saying. And I know I'm not the best reader. Obviously, like I have a hard time with certain letters and, you know, certain words just trip me up. Thanks, obviously, again to Juice. He is the one that pushed me to play play this game. He asked me quite a few times to play it, and I put it off just because it's like a psychological thriller story game. The fact that you know what's coming, but you can't do anything to stop it, really was the part that made it hard for me to play the game. Sorry that it's hard to talk about. Those aspects of the game made it really special and different, and it talks about topics that are taboo in modern culture. That's really what makes this game stand out. It wants to make you feel something. It needs to make you feel something. If you didn't feel something, it would be very surprising. I have to give it an S+. I think the game was great because of obviously the reading aspects of it. I don't think I could put it anywhere higher than that. Next up, we have what is clearly my favorite game of all time. I played the HD remake of it, and it fixes a lot of the things that I did not enjoy about the original. With modern visuals, I think this game is finally unmatched. The story between Link and Midna, insane to watch. The growth of a person. This is the best side character I've ever witnessed in any of the games. It puts Navi, who I thought was a perfect side character, to shame because there's no character growth. What happens at the end to Midna on stream, you can see it. I broke down. It was so emotional for me. Even now, I'm thinking back, I'm like, wow, like that's so impactful. Very similar to Wind Waker, the combat system feels very flushed out. The story feels very flushed out, and I feel like it moves at a pace that just works for me. How I felt as a kid playing this game with my family, added to my current experience that I just had with it, I still think it's my favorite game of all time. Starting out my streaming career with a lot of my favorite games as a child was really special. I'm excited to play a lot of new games that I don't have experiences with, but reliving old memories is really heartwarming. Moving on to a game I had a lot of disdain for, the 3D remake of Final Fantasy IV. This game tested my patience with video games. I borderline gave up on streaming because of certain aspects of this game that I did not like. The difficulty was something that I could not handle. I did not know how to play in a JRPG mentality. This game, you do need prior knowledge. You do need a guide if you have not played it. It is a challenge. Specifically, what stood out to me was the Dark Elf boss. Prior to this, most of these bosses in all of these games could be beaten within 1 or 2 tries. And I did. It set my expectations at a place where I could finish a boss in one go. When I had to fight a boss, draw up a plan from the loss of the boss, play it over and over again to get that plan down to a T, I didn't know how to react to that. I'm not used to it. It was my first ever true JRPG experience. And there are many faults to this game, but the story was great. Really cared for Cecil. I cared for Rosa. I cared for Tella. The characters were cool, but it was just the gameplay I couldn't get past. It was laughably hard to conceive in my brain how to continue on with it. I hate to rank it here, but the stress that this game caused me, I have to put it in F tier. I know people love this game. I know it's a good story. Zelda 1. This is another game that is not entirely my style of gaming. I played this game because I have an upcoming podcast for it. I am a co-host on the Juice Cast. If you all want to go check that out, I'll put the links in the description for that as well. There were very few redeeming qualities in this game for me. Not really my cup of tea. You do have to really respect it though, because this is one of the first ever open world games. It is truly an open world game. You can travel the entire map from the beginning if you dare. And trust me, I did not dare to do that. This is another game. I went out of my way to buy one of these because I tried playing on a Pro controller. Do not try playing this game on a Pro controller. It does not work. You will die many, many, many times. Your brain will condition you to playing a certain way, and then switching to this kind of a controller and switching to one with just the D-pad on it. Your brain is already wired to be doing a certain thing. It is hard to break those habits. I am used to having full control over a character. In almost all of the games that I've played, I've had full control over the character in a 3D space. It makes your brain work in a totally different way. It feels very limited in a not limited game. You want to go to this part of the map? Go there. You can right now. There is nothing holding you back. You want to go to the graveyard? Fine. try it. It pioneered that. The game is just hard. You die, you go back to the beginning of the level. Oh, the level's long? It doesn't matter. You're back at the beginning. You have to think about what you get hit by. You have to plan for that. This is another game, not entirely my style. I don't love that the story was told within the guide, but that's how it used to be. I can't change it. It was 40 years ago. If this game was made now, it would be totally different. It was a special game. I just personally couldn't get myself into it. It's not my kind of game. I played it just for the vanity metric of making a podcast about it. I would have never played this game, nor do I ever have really an interest in playing it again. I have that experience now forever. Next up, this is my foray back into Pokemon. I love Pokemon. I think this is a deeply, deeply flawed game. Another game that just does not feel fluid. They tried a lot of things in this game that just feel bad. The Switch lets this game down more than anything else does. It feels like a half-baked game because of how poorly it runs. I feel like this map could have been half the size and just as impactful. It feels like a lot of space but nothing in it. Just Pokemon. I think they need to go back to the drawing board with this entire series and really put some effort into it. Feels a lot like a money grab. A lot like a money grab. I don't think I would ever put this game in any universe into an S tier. It's good. It's not great. It's fun. It feels freeing. The VGC is cool. There's some aspects of this game that are just straight up fun, but man, it is deeply, deeply flawed. I also gotta say the rivals feel bad. I didn't really like any of them. Story was very skippable and I skipped it. Trust me. Indigo Disc Part 1 mid. I would put this actually right in between these, not because it was difficult. These two were down here because it was difficult. This one's down here because it was boring and there was like nothing to do. They asked $30 for this and it felt like $5 worth of a game. I've played free-to-play games that are better than this. Right here, you see it? Free-to-play, $30. It's bad. It's really bad. Indigo Disc Part 2 did feel a little bit more fleshed out. They listened to the people. They made it more challenging. Some parts of it were actually challenging, and I thought that was cool. Actually, sadly, going to rank this above the base game for a DLC is pretty good. I feel like it added a lot to the game, took away a lot from the game too. It made Master Balls feel insignificant. You can just go to the lottery machine and get Master Balls. Print them like crazy. I feel like we have a pretty proportionate list. I'm actually quite happy with this. I think I gave my reasons, and I think a lot of the reasons were valid. A lot of the reasons were personal. Thank you all for coming to the first annual Game Awards. I'm hoping we can have some bangers in the next one. It's going to be a lot of Final Fantasy 7, I can tell you that. Original, remake, and rebirth are all going to be played this year. It is really exciting for Final Fantasy 7. Let's see what this year brings us, truly. Thank you all for watching. Subscribe to the channel, like if you like it, and I will see you in the next video. Peace out.